Are we live? Good afternoon, Status Coup. It's Tina-Desiree Berg. I am here in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it is obviously very, very cold. The Californian in me is dying right now, but we're out here on the street because we want to cover... We came here to cover, obviously, the DHS ICE immigration raids and what's been going on here with the Somali community. But then last night, in the middle of the night, the Trump regime decided to invade Venezuela and stage, I guess, what we could call a mini coup. So today we are going to cover this anti-war protest here in downtown Minneapolis. It's what I think, 15 degrees, John? What? Is it 15 degrees? It's cold. I have to tell you, I have so many layers on right now. I have my Under Armour heat thermals. On top of that, I have my fleece line tights. On top of that, I have my wool socks, my down, 3 sweaters, scarf, and I'm still frozen. I don't know how people are out here in shorts. It's crazy. It's 20 degrees. Okay, not as cold as I thought. You know, one of the things that we heard this morning when Donald Trump was talking to the press pool, he kept using these terms that it was our oil, right? It wasn't Venezuela oils. It was, we're taking back our oil. So that's some serious imperialistic dialogue that would make even George W. Bush blush. So there was also, you know, some yammerings about him possibly looking at invading other countries. Cuba was actually on the table, Panama Canal, and a few other places. So my only question this morning when I woke up and I called Jordan, I said, where's Tulsi Gabbard? You know, this is somebody that campaigned on being anti-regime change, and here she is part of an administration doing one of the biggest regime changes that we've seen, you know, in 20 years in this country, and there's been, silence from her. So, and it sounds like they want to continue on with that, right? This is just imperialism. And then he kept saying that the money would go to the Venezuelan people. We all know that that's not true. This is going to be American oil industry coming in there, rebuilding all of that infrastructure and, you know, taking the oil money for themselves. Anyway, so we're going to cover this protest today. I'm going to hope to interview a few people. I do want to talk to some folks still about some of what is going on with ICE. We did go to the ICE detention center earlier today, and there was a lot of activity over there. Even though it's a Saturday, there were multiple detainment vehicles that were leaving the facility. I noticed that a lot of them had this Defend the Homeland branded across the back of their vehicles in old capital letters, which is something I have not seen in California. I'm told that's been pretty common out here and in Chicago. Just seems a little bit, you know, next level to have that on there. All right, let's go over and check out the protest. Oh, hello. Yes. Hi. Hi, Kevin. What's your name?
Kevin Dwyer.
And you're running for office here in Minneapolis?
I was the Socialist Workers Party candidate for mayor.
Oh, for mayor. Okay.
Yeah.
So last night, Trump basically engaged in some regime change war. I guess we can call it that. What are your thoughts on that this morning?
Well, it's a violation of Venezuela's sovereignty. You know, they have the right to have their own government. And the U.S. is going in there simply to take over, as Trump kept saying today over and over again, oil, 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 trying to say that somehow Venezuela's oil belongs to the United States. You know, Venezuela, like any country, is sovereign. And what the U.S. government and the class they represent is doing is trying to reshape the world in their interests.
You know, that was something I noticed when he was talking. He kept saying our oil, like it was the United States' oil. We're taking back our oil, right? And regardless of what somebody thinks of Maduro, you might have beefs with him. Two things can be true at the same time, right? Maduro cannot not be the greatest ruler ever, and it would also be a violation of the country's sovereignty for us to go in there and do what we're doing right now.
Of course, yes. And the U.S. has a long, long history in Latin America. From the Contra War against the Nicaraguan Revolution through the overthrow of the Guatemalan regime in the 1950s to today actually is the 36th anniversary of in Panama when Noriega surrendered. So it's That's their long history. It has nothing to do with freedom or democracy for anybody. It has to do with controlling the natural wealth and the labor in those countries.
Right. So I'm curious to know, one of the things they talked about this morning was the vice president, and Trump kept insinuating that because it was Maduro's vice president, that it wasn't really them doing some sort of regime change because she was going to be in charge now. That seemed a little fishy to me. Do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I don't have a direct line to Caracas, but you know, the statements that she made earlier contradict that. So, you know, we'll just have to see what the situation is. You know, there are a lot of forces in Venezuela that were opposed to the regime. A lot of the better off, sections of the population. But you know, no matter what, it's their country. The U.S. doesn't have the right to do that. You know, and this is a tremendous threat against Cuba and the Cuban Revolution. Cuba gets the majority of their oil from Venezuela in a decades-long show of solidarity by Venezuela to Cuba. So this is just going to tighten the screws, which are already, every administration, Democrat or Republican, has tried to overthrow the Cuban Revolution, because they don't want that example of workers and farmers running their own country in their own interests to be spread. So that's...
And so Marco Rubio did allude to that this morning, too. He was talking about what happens next. Is Cuba on the menu? So do you think it's possible that the Trump administration might consider some sort of military action against Cuba? I mean, they're also bombing the boats that are coming across the ocean.
It's certainly possible, yes. Cuba's lived under this threat for 67 years and has been able to fend them off every time. So we'll just have to, that's why it's important to be out here today, to be in solidarity. This comes at a time when every major imperialist power is rearming, when the threat of war is growing, from the continuing war in Ukraine, where Russia is trying to take over the sovereignty of Ukraine, to, the fight against Jew hatred and Hamas, where, Hamas's aim is to destroy Jews, period. That's why we support Israel's fight to defend Jews, and because there will be no peace there as long as Hamas exists.
So so let me give you a little pushback on that. What about the Palestinian people? Do you have thoughts on their right to sovereignty? Like the West Bank now is turning into an absolute mess.
I think that there's two national questions here, for the Jews and for the Palestinians. What is the way forward? Is it through groups like Hamas? No. That's the biggest threat to the Palestinian people, as we've just seen over the last 2 years. The way forward is to fight for solidarity from Jews, Arabs, Druze, Persians, everyone.
Listen, I don't disagree with that. My thing now, though, is the Israeli government is so captured by fascism, too. Like, what's happening here in the United States, we're not living in this space alone, right? This is happening in Europe. Is like everywhere you see these increasing authoritarian right-wing sort of fascist regimes that are taking over these governments. What do we do about that? Because it's a global issue. It's not necessarily, I think it's a right versus left issue, right? Not necessarily a them versus us issue, but the fascists always make it a them versus us issue because that's part of their doctrine.
Well, I don't think they're fascists. I think a lot of people throw the word fascism around. This is capitalism. Yeah. This is how it functions. Like here in the United States, there's not a huge growth of fascism. We're able to stand out here without being attacked by fascist gangs. Here we are.
For now.
Well, we don't know what the future holds, but we do know that that's not what we're facing right now. This is the way the capitalism works. Our party has a long, long history of standing up against government repression, no matter which political party is in power.
So you guys are more aligned with like the unions, workers' rights?
Right. We're a working class political party. And, that's when we run election campaigns, It's what does the working class need to do to change the situation and to eventually take power out of the hands of the capitalist class.
And, that sort of makes sense. Like I was talking to you, was it Kathy, the other gal? I was making the point that there was a time when the Midwest was a very radical area of the country, especially when it came to workers' rights. Very strong unions. I mean, this is where you had workers fighting the Pinkertons back in the day. And all of that sort of gave sway to now where you have a lot of the MAGA movement, a lot of folks, sort of affected by billionaires, but not quite grasping that that's what's going on. So it would be effective, I think, to reach across the island, because I don't think those people are necessarily all lost.
Of course not. The majority are working people. And what we've seen in the last few years, what we point out, is that there's more and more resistance, people turning to their unions and starting unions to fight back against the conditions that we're facing, which are becoming more and more intolerable. You can't afford anything. Everybody knows this, You don't have to tell people that. They know it. But what is the way forward? We say we need to use our unions, for example, to fight for amnesty for immigrant workers. They keep debating sanctuary cities while ICE is coming in and doing this, whether it's sanctuary or not. So what's the difference? We need to really fight. The fight of Kilmar Abreu Garcia is a huge example of this, where his union, Smart Union, has stood by him every step of the way and has been publicizing his fights, holding rallies, helping his family. Well, that's what all of our unions need to do. I'm in Unite Here. Most of my coworkers are immigrant workers as well. That's the way forward.
It's sort of looking like as the divide not being this, right, versus left, but more this, right, the plutonymy versus the working class.
Politics is class struggle. It's their class against our class. It's the capitalist class against working class, against the small producers, farmers, and others. And, hammering on that. Looking at politics that way, it's much easier to understand what's happening in the world today.
Right. Let me ask you this. Why do you think Trump was so effective the first term with his messaging as far as being sort of like, I would call it sort of phony populism, but it was a form of that, like I'm going to help the working class. The working class has been devastated, and there's some truth to the fact that a lot of the Democratic Party did choose to support corporate interests over workers' rights. And to me, that's like...
They always have.
Yeah.
It's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's... trying to understand things just from the electoral thing, they say, everybody that voted for Trump is a racist. Well, they voted for Obama. And then they swung to Trump. And then they swung to Biden. And now we're back here again. People are just looking for answers. That's what we find. That's when we go out door to door with the militant newspaper and talk to people about this stuff. People go, yeah, I'm interested in having a discussion about what you're saying about the way forward. Why working people, we need to fight for a shorter work week with no cut in pay to spread jobs around. Things like that,
I mean, jobs that actually pay enough money to get by. A lot of the time right now you end up with, they increase jobs and they're not even, minimum wage isn't livable, right? And so you're working 2-3 jobs just to get by because the one job's not enough. I mean, so it's not just about, I think, increasing the amount of jobs, but the kind of quality of the jobs. And people know this, they feel it, right?
So we need to have wages that go up with inflation. We used to have that in a lot of union contracts. It's called cost of living at that point. Well, COLA, right. There's no COLA now, no COLA now. So, fighting for that again. For all, whether it's your pension, whether it's your Social Security, whatever it is, it has to go up with inflation instead of these little pincy jumps, And that's what a lot of people have been fighting for through their unions right now, Even the Starbucks workers,
right.
Yes,
unions are increasing.
From Starbucks to Sky Chef to, union after union, and it's an important thing to follow.
Right on. Kevin, what's your full name again? Sorry.
That's all right. Dwyer, Kevin Dwyer, Dwire.
Thank you for talking with us. So we're going to go check out. My name is, we're Status Coup. We're live right now. Say hi, everybody.
Oh, hi.
We have a fairly large YouTube channel.
Okay. All right.
But thank you for talking with us. That's really informative.
People to, check out The Militant at themilitant.com. You can look at all 97 years of it online.
Wait, this has been published for 97 years?
98 starting this year. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just want people to hit the like button.
So we're going to wander over here to the protest area where they're making speeches right now. If you are not a member of Status Coup, please consider joining for $5 a month. The $5 a month that you pay in membership fees funds our trips, whether it's here in Minneapolis or other places. And we don't take corporate money, so we would appreciate that kind of support.
Why? Because it is a lie. A hollow lie as hollow as Colin Powell's vial of anthrax. It's about drugs. It's not about drugs. It's about oil. This morning, Donald Trump himself tore that lie to shreds, standing before the world.
So we are currently on the corner of Lake and Minnehaha Avenue. So this is downtown Minneapolis. This area became famous during the BLM protest, that first uprising. That is the precinct across the street that was burned down. Right now, this is the anti-war protest. We have Stand Up, Fight Back down with Trump. We're going to go across the street and get some of these speeches.
He promised that our very large U.S. oil companies, the biggest in the world, would go in and fix Venezuela's infrastructure. It would take over, and they would start making money for the United States. We're not making money for Venezuela. He's claiming that Venezuela's oil was stolen from us, and it must be returned. This is the language of a colonial pirate, not someone standing for justice. How does he plan to enforce this? Military occupation. Trump declared that we're going to run this country until such a time that we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. He said that we're there now and we're going to stay. We're going to run this country. This is not liberation. This is a brazen admission of imperial conquest. He has unilaterally declared that the United States is the colonial administrator of Venezuela. What do we think of that? And while they wage war abroad, they are preparing for war at home. This is no accident. The same administration that bombs Venezuela to seize its resources is the one labeling our movements, the movements for racial justice, for economic dignity, against war, as terrorist organizations. Last month, the FBI's operations director told Congress that Antifa, anti-fascism, is the agency's primary concern. Last month, Attorney General Pam Bondi launched a legal campaign against anti-capitalist organizations, threatening to treat us like cartels. They are criminalizing dissent because the same system that plunders nations must silence those that resist at home. This is a single, unified system of violence. The bombs dropped on Caracas and the federal agents occupying our streets, kidnapping our neighbors, terrorizing our communities. Excuse me. These same organizations terrorizing our communities are two fronts of the same war. A war of the capitalist and imperialist class against the working class of the whole world. We are here today to say, not in our name. Repeat after me. We demand the immediate release of President Maduro and his wife. The immediate withdrawal of all U.S. forces. End the illegal occupation. Lift all sanctions. End the crackdown at home. As a veteran, I know that the soldiers being ordered to do this colonial theft don't want to do this. They are our siblings, our children, and our neighbors. They did not join to be the private army of Chevron or ExxonMobil. We must not let them become the cannon fodder for corporate takeover and corporate plunder. Our resistance must be international, as the capitalist class that oppresses us is also international. We stand in solidarity with the people of Venezuela facing opposition. We stand with everyone resisting ICE and police terror here. All right, repeat after me. No war on Venezuela! Stop bombing Venezuela! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and occupation! El pueblo unido jamás será vencido! Thank you.
Let's give it up for Doug. I'd like you to join me in welcoming our next speaker. She's a friend of mine, and she's a badass Venezuelan organizer. Please give a warm welcome to Carmen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. We have seen this before. The stories that this imperialist government manufactures to justify violence against a people united for their liberation. The stories it weaves to pave a way for military intervention in the name of resource extraction. We saw this in 2003 when the Bush administration falsely accused Iraq of harboring weapons of mass destruction to justify the invasion that followed. An invasion that led to hundreds of thousands of civilian deaths, all in the name of securing Iraq's oil fields. We see this story being spread today at home with the dehumanization of immigrant brothers, mothers, fathers, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunties to justify their illegal kidnapping and inhumane holding conditions. We see how the government recycles anti-black narratives that led to the capture and enslavement of our black and Afro-descendant relatives. We see how these narratives are reapplied again and again. If you've been paying attention, you have been witnessing the story unfold in Venezuela. We saw it under Obama when he declared Chavez a national security threat that went to impose heavy sanctions that choked the country from global trade, driving up prices, throwing countless people into poverty that led to mass migration. I've heard other stories too. Stories of people crossing the Darien Gap in search of a more stable life for their families, arriving in the U.S. in hopes they would find it here. Instead, today, these families are left to navigate an impossible system. They live in fear of abduction, face exorbitant legal fees, struggle to find affordable housing, food, and health care, and encounter a public that calls them illegal for doing what anyone would do in a crisis, protect their family. It is not only absurd, but deeply disturbing to be the force that creates chaos and turn around to persecute the people who search for stability. The U.S. continues to destabilize our ancestral homes and strip indigenous populations in the Americas and Palestine from their land. It continues to weave stories to persuade a public that it is all in the name of democracy and security. But we know the truth. We know that everyone loses when we regurgitate that story. The people who struggle for sovereignty in Venezuela know this. The workers who live in the communes know this and have been mobilizing for years to build an alternative economy. This level of organizing and worker solidarity is an active threat to the imperialist project of the United States, a project that aims to control Venezuela's oil fields and establish economic dominance at the expense of our future. Our struggle is an international and existential one. We know that the United States is spiraling because it can sense that its capitalist project is under threat. Because it knows that the people in Venezuela, the people in Palestine, the people in Somalia, the people in Vietnam, the people of conscience in the United States are mobilizing and demanding that we turn this ship around. That going to war with other countries to steal resources for the benefit of large corporations has never worked for the majority of us. It was obvious when they came and imposed genocide on our indigenous relatives in the Americas. It is clear when they enslaved our African relatives. It is clear today. When I heard the news this morning, I sank into despair and anger, but only one of those emotions moved me to speak to you all now. I am pissed at how history continues to repeat itself, here and in my ancestral home. We have a responsibility as people living in the belly of the beast to fight back. I have hope that the people will continue to resist because it is in our nature to do so. And I invite you all to channel that rage into action because liberation is our only option.
We want justice, you say how? Free Maduro, free him now! We want justice, you say how? Free Maduro, free him now! We want justice, you say how? Free Maduro, free him now! We want justice, you say how? Free Maduro, free him now! We want justice, you say how? Free Maduro, free him now! Hands up Venezuela now! Turn those Navy ships around! Hands up Venezuela now! Turn those Navy ships around! Hands up Venezuela now! Turn those Navy ships around! What do we want? Hands up Venezuela! When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Okay, thank you everybody. Can we get one more round of applause for the last speaker? Thank you. Now it's my honor to introduce next up Arroyo. Arroyo is an organizer with the Solidarity Committee on the Americas, an incredible anti-war organization here locally. He is a trans organizer, the son of Mexican immigrants, and he is proud to stand with us today. Give it up for Arroyo.
Thank you. I don't think I can top that last statement, but I will do my best. The abduction of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife Celia Flores is outrageous. We demand the immediate release of Nicolás Maduro and Celia Flores. The U.S. has revived the 200-year-old Monroe Doctrine, claiming that Venezuela is in its hemisphere of influence. That's some bullshit. Venezuela is a sovereign country. Venezuela, Cuba, Colombia, Nicaragua, and all the other countries in the area are all sovereign countries. If the people within the United States accept these attacks, a dangerous precedent is set. We, the people of Turtle Island, must voice our outrage and disgust with the United States capturing a leader they do not agree with when they have something we need, oil and minerals. The U.S. has no issue killing fishermen, civilians, and other revolutionary people in cold blood for the resources that will make them a profit. Shame! The U.S. now claims Maduro will face criminal charges in a U.S. court. Shame! This sham proceeding will be done under the auspices of drug trafficking. But we know it has nothing to do with that. And everything to do with Trump's policy of regime change. If Trump and his cronies cared about drug trafficking, Marco Rubio would not be in their cabinet. Additionally, Trump would not have pardoned former Honduran president and infamous drug trafficker Juan Orlando Hernandez. Boo! Drug trafficking in Venezuela is this generation's weapons of mass destruction. In Iraq, a familiar pretext for regime change. We have seen this before. Iraq never held any weapons of mass destruction. The war in Iraq cost the death of 4,500 soldiers, with 32,000 soldiers wounded in action. The cost of regime change in Venezuela is the cost of the lives of your children. Nearly 70% of Americans oppose another war and reject the endless cycle of military interventions carried out in their name. These attacks are violations of the United Nations Charter, Articles 1 and 2, which enshrine respect for sovereignty, the legal equality of states, and the prohibition of the use of force. Such aggression threatened the lives of millions of people in the Caribbean and Latin America. This is all for oil and minerals. We must organize against the occupation of Venezuela. As the Venezuelan government has told its people, to the streets, people. The goal of these attacks is to seize Venezuela's resources, such as their people, the oil, and their minerals. The people of Venezuela have had 200 years of independence and struggle. This colonial war by the United States will fail. The Venezuelan people will rise to defend themselves, as is their right under international law and as a moral and ethical imperative. The Venezuelan government has activated its mobilization plans via the people of Venezuela and the Bolivarian National Armed Forces in popular military police fusion. We wish them great success. We call upon the peoples and governments of Latin America, the Caribbean, and the world to mobilize in active solidarity against this imperial aggression. And I'm quoting here the Venezuelan government, as Supreme Commander Hugo Chavez Frias stated, in the face of any circumstance of new difficulties, however great they may be, the response of all patriots is struggle, battle, and victory. Do not lose hope. I bring you a quote from Soy Cuba. This is in English and I'll repeat it in Spanish. But when one man falls for a just cause, thousands rise up. And when there are no men left, even the stones will rise up. And in Spanish, pero al caer un hombre por una causa justa, surgen por miles otros. Y cuando ya no queden hombres, hasta las piedras se alzarán. And one more thing to recall. Let us not forget that this invasion of Venezuelan soil is exactly what Maria Corina Machado wanted. She wants to sell Venezuela to the highest bidder, the United States. Thank you.
Give it up for Arroyo, everybody. Arroyo pointed out something I think is really important about Venezuelans mobilizing to defend their country. It's something that I think gets missed. You've seen this reported in the U.S. media, and of course, in the media, you've seen reported over and over that the reason the U.S. wants to go to war is that President Nicolas Maduro is some sort of dictator hated by his people. Do dictators hand out arms to their people? Do dictators say, get ready to defend your country? No, dictators who are afraid of their own people, who are hated by their own people, they keep that to the army. They're terrified. They don't want their people to arm themselves and be ready to defend themselves. The whole country is mobilizing, like Arroyo just said, to defend themselves because they're proud of their country. So next up, I want to introduce a speaker from Minnesota 5051, Cobalt. 5051, I'm sure everyone here is familiar with, an incredible organization that's mobilized tens of thousands of people all around the country to oppose the Trump administration, to oppose Trump's power grabs here at home, to stand for immigrants. Cobalt is involved with rapid raid response, with mutual aid, and wants everyone to know that they're always looking for volunteers to help out. Give it up for Cobalt.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be reading because otherwise I'll go off script and say something that y'all will identify with, but it will get everybody demonetized. So while I'm not happy for the occasion, I am happy to see so many of you here. My name is Cobalt, and I am with Minnesota 5051. In the dead of night, the United States bombed a sovereign nation and abducted its head of state. Trump has since declared that he will be running Venezuela and attempting to access their oil reserves. This is wrong, morally, strategically, and historically. The U.S. has tried such nation building before, and the results are always the same. Enormous profit for corporations and the wealthy, death, chaos, and long-term destabilization for the people who live there and the people who are deployed there. These imperialist actions in Venezuela are abhorrent on their own, but they are also a distraction. While bombs fall abroad, a war is being waged right here at home. As you know, federal agents have been kidnapping people and disappearing them from the streets. Files have been released detailing the president's ties to one of the most notorious predators in modern history. Reports indicate that Trump added $3.4 billion to his wealth in 2025 alone. Will this escalation abroad work to pull your attention away from the corruption, violence, and authoritarianism unfolding right here? No! Consider the cost of this in time, labor, money, and human lives. And now imagine what could be done if even a fraction of those resources were invested in the people here at home. Trump campaigned on America first, yet millions of people in this country are starving, unhoused, drowning in debt, and being brutalized by their own government. We are told that there is no money to care for people, but somehow there is always money for war and for oil interests. Does that contradiction make you angry? Yes! We should be furious! But more than that, we should be activated. These problems are not unsolvable. They persist because those in power lack the will to solve them. Instead, they continue to prioritize imperial expansion and corporate profit over human life. This is a wake-up call to anyone who is not bothered to pay attention. We must demand that our government stop terrorizing its own people, stay out of the affairs of foreign nations. We must call for the impeachment, the removal, and the conviction of the felon-in-chief. Until then, please get involved in your local organizations, find your rapid response communities, defend your neighbors, and pay attention. In closing, fuck ICE, fuck imperialism, and fuck Donald Trump!
Give it up for Cobalt, everybody. So, one announcement I want to make before we continue with the program. We're just a couple speakers left, and we're gonna do a short march around the neighborhood. So please stick around. We want to take the streets. We want people to know that we're standing up here in Minneapolis, and we want the folks in this neighborhood to see us and see that there are people standing up for Venezuela, and if they stand for Venezuela too, that they're not alone, right? So next up, we have a speaker who's very special to me, my friend and comrade Drake, who is an amazing organizer with a rank and file union organizer with MFE. He's an ESP. And he used to be in the anti-war committee with me, and we went on a trip to Venezuela together in 2023, and he's going to speak on that. Give it up for Drake.
Thank you so much for your time and for being here on a cold day. I'm Drake. I'm a proud member of Frizzo and a rank and file anti-war public school educator in MFE 59. So I'm a pre-K educator. Our schools in Minneapolis here aren't well funded. They've got money to bomb graves, to steal oil tankers, to bomb fishermen and civilians in Venezuela, but no money for our schools. I got to see that there's a different value system in Venezuela. Hugo Chavez, as a revolutionary president. Can we hear it for Hugo Chavez? As a revolutionary president, used oil revenue to open hundreds of public schools and free open admission universities. Chavez made sure that millions of kids who never had access to education would. He did so by sometimes using the Venezuelan army to seize the property of U.S. companies. He seized the oil and used that money for the Venezuelan oil, nationalized the oil to pay for social services. The quality of life for the poor in Venezuela skyrocketed. And today, the U.S. empire bombed his grave. They want to destroy the memory of the hero, Hugo Chavez. Viva Chavez! So this isn't just about oil after all. It's about what we do with oil and oil revenue in our society. The U.S. wants that money to go straight to the wealthiest of Wall Street, while Maduro and Venezuela want the Venezuelan poor provided for in their own sovereign country. Stealing from the rich to give to the poor. And not just the poor of Venezuela. Chavez even helped the poor of the United States. Chavez provided 100 million gallons of free heating oil a year to more than 200 tribes and Alaska natives, to homeless shelters, and to low-income families in the United States. When U.S. oil companies did nothing, Venezuela gave over $1 billion of free oil to the poorest and most marginalized in the United States, as well as Venezuela. Trump said Venezuela sends drugs to our country, when what they actually send was vitally needed aid. As recently as a couple weeks ago, President Maduro thanked Freedom Road Socialist Organization for our solidarity and said that Venezuela stands with us here in the United States. It was true when MPD killed George Floyd. Venezuelans marched for justice, and there were many George Floyd murals painted around Venezuela when we went. It was true when the U.S. bombs advanced to genocide on Gaza. Venezuelans stood with us against that genocide. And we need to extend our solidarity back at them right now. I want to believe that now that the United States is bombing Venezuela, threatening an invasion and a second wave of attacks, talking about we will run the country, that each and every one of us will remember the lessons we learned in our lifetimes, the anti-war lessons of our lives. I'm 33 and I grew up during the War on Terror. I thought everyone was clear. We don't want any more endless wars for oil. I want to believe that everyone at these giant No Kings protests will stand up and say, no war with Venezuela! But we're going to have to explain this situation to people patiently. We're going to have to work hard and be in the streets alongside the proud Venezuelan people to stop this. It's a sad day when people are being bombed, but the people of Venezuela are not giving up, and we can't either. I want to say cheerfully that these are the most desperate and obviously evil actions of an empire in decline. We will live to see the death of U.S. imperialism in our lifetimes. I had the honor to sit with a woman in Caracas whose 5-year-old son died due to the U.S. blockade. He couldn't get the medicine he needed because of the blockade. I work with 5-year-olds every day. Some parents in Minneapolis are scared to take their kids to school right now. They're scared to go to the grocery stores or to the hospital right now because of ICE. 5-year-olds need patience and help to learn and play. They don't need to starve under ICE, under blockades and sanctions. They don't need their schools bombed or stalked by racist freaks. No more 5-year-olds should suffer. Not here in Minneapolis, not in Iraq, not in Venezuela, not in Gaza or the West Bank. Nowhere. Down with Trump. Down with the Monroe Doctrine. Free President Maduro. Thank you so much for the time.
Let's give it up for Drake. Today's protest has been organized by the Minnesota Peace Action Coalition. And if you do not already follow our work on Facebook or on Instagram, please follow the coalition. It's been around for many decades, protesting a series of U.S. wars, sanctions, and interventions abroad. One thing I want to say before I introduce our next speaker is polls show that war on Venezuela, 70% of the United States is opposed to war on Venezuela. I'm going to say that again. 70% of the United States is opposed to war on Venezuela. So our task is to make that manifest in the streets, to make that manifest in the political landscape of the United States, and make peace with Venezuela and an end to U.S. interventionism first and foremost a priority of our politics domestically. Repeat after me. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off Venezuela now. Hands off Venezuela now. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off Venezuela now. Hands off Venezuela now. Our next speaker is Nadia. They're with the USPCN, the United States Palestinian Community Network. It's an Arab-led nationwide organization who's been on the forefront of the struggle for Palestinian liberation. Please give a warm welcome to Nadia.
Empires are built on stolen labor and land theft and exploitation and murders and genocide and lies. Empires lie to themselves and they lie to the people living in the imperial core. With their words, empires lie to the world, but with their actions, they show the truth. Today, Trump got on camera and announced that he kidnapped President Maduro to make Venezuelans, quote, rich, independent, and safe. The absurdity of this lie is clear. Since when does bombing another country and kidnapping their democratically elected president make a country independent or safe? When Colin Powell got up in front of the UN and lied about weapons of mass destruction, he did it so that the U.S. empire could deepen its hold on West Asia. When Israel spews lies about Hamas hiding in hospitals or beheading babies, they do so to justify the genocide of the Palestinian people. In fact, the U.S. empire and its proxies tell on themselves when they lie. The U.S. has over 5,000 nuclear weapons. Weapons of mass destruction. Israel has military bases built in highly populated areas with targets right next to hospitals. According to recent estimation, Israel has killed over 300,000 children. I have seen countless pictures and videos of babies with their heads blown off and mouthpieces for genocide still have the audacity to bring up these debunked claims from Zionists 2 years later. So yes, we know that empires always lie. When Pete Hegseth tells us that they have bombed ships carrying narco-terrorists, he is lying. When Trump tells us that they have kidnapped President Maduro because he leads a drug cartel, he is lying. And once again, the empire tells on itself. The U.S. government is responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people and those who continue to die from opioid overdoses. The U.S. is responsible for the staggeringly high production of opioids in Afghanistan during their occupation. The U.S. allied itself with Nicaraguan Contras to overthrow the Sandinista government, using the profits from Iranian arms sales and cocaine trafficking to fund this reactionary group. This directly resulted in the crack epidemic in black communities. Imperialist plunder in Iran paid for imperialist plunder in Nicaragua, which paid for attacks on black communities in the belly of the beast. The U.S. government is by far the world's largest cartel of, to use their words, narco-terrorists. And I want to talk about that word narco-terrorist because to me, what it shows is how connected our struggles are. When the U.S. empire invokes the image of the scary terrorist to justify its murder of Venezuelan people, it is yet more proof that nobody is free until we are all free. In the eyes of the U.S., both the government and, let's be honest, many of its citizens, terrorist is a word that is used to describe somebody that they can kill with no repercussions. The United States and Israel are the true terrorists. They travel the world creating nothing but fear, death, and destruction. They steal and they kill out of bloodthirsty greed. And again, the U.S. lies. They don't give a shit about democracy in Venezuela. They just want to be the ones in control of a sovereign nation and its resources. They don't care about drug trafficking. They just want a reason to exploit Venezuela and kill Venezuelans. Earlier this week, Benjamin Netanyahu visited the U.S. for the 5th time in 2025. Netanyahu is a wanted war criminal, and he was welcomed into the United States. This, in and of itself, is proof that President Maduro was not kidnapped because the United States cares about international law or human rights. Since 1948, Palestine has been proof of the farce that is international law and its willingness and ability to put an end to genocide and imperialism. Trump's claim that Venezuela stole land from the U.S. is just as obscene as claims that Palestinians stole land from Israel or that indigenous peoples on this land could steal land from the so-called United States. The U.S. and Israel have no right to be in Palestine. They have no right to be in Venezuela. They have no right to be anywhere, and they have no right to exist. They are imperial entities built on the bodies and lands of indigenous people with stolen labor and stolen resources. We must not believe a word that comes out of their propaganda outlets, and we must fight until from Venezuela to Palestine, we are all free. Death to empire and death to imperialism, wherever it may be.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Okay, we've got one last speaker to go before we get marching. And this speaker has something very unique and special to offer us because she just got back from Venezuela. My friend Allison here from the Anti-War Committee defied the no-fly zone. And for those who don't know, a no-fly zone is essentially a threat from the U.S. that if you fly over this country will blow you out of the sky. Allison fucking went there anyway. That is heroic. And she went there to see what they're actually facing so she could come back and tell people here in the U.S. what's actually going on there. Give it up for Allison from the Anti-War Committee.
Thank you, Andrew. As Andrew just said, my name is Allison Gunderson. I am with the Minnesota Anti-War Committee and the WAM Palestine Solidarity Committee. And I only just got back from a U.S. delegation to Caracas, Venezuela a few weeks ago. The Trump administration has escalated war crimes in Venezuela overnight. Bombing Caracas and kidnapping President Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores? Shame! Shame! It's insanity. President Maduro is a democratically elected leader, and Venezuela chose their government. The U.S. should not be allowed to kidnap leaders just because they don't like them. Isn't that right? Yeah. The U.S. does not have a right to bomb Venezuela indiscriminately for defending their sovereignty. And we know why the U.S. doesn't like these leaders, right? It's not about these false claims of drugs or the other lies Trump is spewing. It's because Venezuela is a country that has the largest oil reserves in the world. And they won't let U.S. imperialism exploit that. Venezuela is an example of a country that takes care of its people in defiance of U.S. sanctions, blockades, and bombings. They are an example to the world that this reality is possible. A country taking care of its people rather than pouring billions into efforts of war that only benefit oligarchs like Trump, his cronies, and U.S. oil companies. All while the people in the U.S. can't have their needs met. This is a direct threat to the U.S. When I was in Caracas, all I witnessed was a country that had love and solidarity not only for their own country, but with all people's struggles against U.S. imperialism. They have international solidarity built into their fabric. I got to see President Maduro speak. And he stressed unity and solidarity, and how imperative this is that solidarity goes both ways. I also witnessed the people's support and pride that they had in President Maduro. Venezuela has an incredibly strong understanding of U.S. imperialism and how it directly affects their conditions and the conditions of the world, from Palestine to the people of the U.S. They understand the conditions we face in the belly of the beast. People who are being bombed, sanctioned, and under blockade by the U.S. came up to me to express how they feel awful seeing our conditions and how we suffer under U.S. imperialism. That they may have some bad conditions, but they have a country that takes care of them. And they see how we don't have that. And they stand with us against that. They have incredible solidarity with us. And it's long past time that we have this strong of solidarity with Venezuela in return. This is why it is imperative we build a strong anti-imperialist, anti-war movement here in the U.S. That we fight against U.S. intervention into other countries for the selfish motives of U.S. oil companies. Because we know U.S. intervention only brings destabilization and destruction, and that this imperial violence will always come home to roost. We must fight for Venezuelan sovereignty and right to self-determination. We must continue to fight against U.S. imperialism everywhere. No war with Venezuela! Free President Maduro! Viva Venezuela! Thank you.
Give it up for Allison. Okay, is everybody ready to march? Fantastic. So I have a couple instructions for everybody so we can get going on our way and march safely, all right?
Okay, so we just heard from multiple speakers. They're going to get ready to march now.
We're on the corners over here.
There's some folks across the street holding signs about Epstein files.
We have street marshals who are out here.
Is this the ultimate wagging the dog tail here, where the Epstein files are so bad that Trump had to create some sort of diversion other than what was already going on? That's being floated across the street. We're going to try to interview some of those folks. Again, if you're not a Status Coup member, please consider joining. For $5 a month, you can help fund our reporting that gives us the leeway to do these trips to Minneapolis, Chicago, Atlanta, Charlotte, all over the place. We try to get out there and cover all of these things that corporate media is not covering.
When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do?
It's a great sign here. Welcome to 1939. Which side are you on?
When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? We stand with immigrants. We stand with Venezuela.
So lots of different opinions here. We spoke with a guy this morning, actually, that was making the case for the issue to not really necessarily be fascist against anti-fascists, right versus left, but rather the working class against everybody else.
Try and get into it.
Intervention no more! Intervention no more! Money for jobs and education! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and occupation! Not for war and occupation! Money for jobs and education! Money for jobs and education!
So I love the signs out here that says, welcome to 1939, which side are you on? And, sort of reiterating the point that everything that we're facing in the country right now is sort of fallen in line with what happened in Germany at that time. It's not just one thing. It's the multitude of things.
Not for war and occupation.
All right, we're getting ready to march. We're marching down. I think we're on Minnehaha.
Bombs in the air. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere. U.S. out of everywhere. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere. U.S. out of
of everywhere.
Hands up
Venezuela now! Hands up Venezuela now!
Turn those Navy ships around!
Turn those Navy ships around!
Hands up Venezuela now!
Hands up Venezuela now!
Turn those Navy ships around!
Turn those Navy ships around!
Hands up Venezuela now!
Hands up Venezuela now!
Turn those Navy ships around!
Turn those Navy ships around!
Hands up Venezuela now!
Hands up Venezuela now!
Turn those Navy ships around! U.S. hands off foreign soil! No more trading blood for oil! U.S. hands off foreign soil! No more trading blood for oil! U.S. hands off foreign soil! No more trading blood for oil! U.S. hands off foreign soil! No more trading blood for oil! U.S. pirates go home! Venezuela's now yours to own!
So I wanted to ask you about your sign. It's about the Epstein files. Do you think that Trump doing what he did last night is sort of him trying to divert with what's going on with that, what's in the files and his connections to it?
Absolutely, at least this time, at this point in time. However, it's bigger than even that, but I absolutely think it's a diversion right now.
Did you see some of those files where they were talking about maybe he had some girls coming through the Mar-a-Lago spa?
Well, I read parts of them.
I mean, if that's true,
I really do think there's whatever we're going to find. I was sort of skeptical about what we would see earlier, but it's obviously something huge. Gigantic. I don't know what it is. I don't claim to know any of that, but it's big.
I agree. I mean, you had all those pages that were redacted entirely. They didn't release all of the files. 6 months ago, I didn't think there was any smoke there, but it seems to me that there is a lot of smoke there now.
I've known there were bad things, but I think I can't fathom. It's hard for me to fathom it could get any worse, but I think it is.
And let me ask you this. Have you been following a lot of the ICE DHS raids that have been going on here?
ICE what?
The raids in the community?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's horrible. I mean, it's reminiscent of 1930s in Europe. And I think this has been planned for a long time. And I think it's designed to implant fear in the hearts of the people. But I don't think it's going to work.
You know, interestingly enough, all of these attempts at holding on to power that he has engaged in, I think he's awakened a sleeping giant because people are now, from all ages, are out on the street.
Well, I think, we the people are one of the pillars that hold up a free society and democracy. And eventually people are starting to see what's going on, and most of the institutions have failed us, and people are beginning to understand that it's life or death. This is it.
So what do you see happening in the next year as far as, because you're right, all of these institutions have failed. Our checks and balances are hanging by a thread at this point. We have some courts that are holding the line, and that's pretty much it. What do you think comes next?
I don't know. All I know, it's going to get, I predict it's going to get, believe it or not, worse. But I think they're falling apart. I think this is a cornered animal, but it's going to get really ugly, and then we'll see. Hopefully, we'll open the floodgates of sunshine. But in the meantime, we got to work for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's 18 degrees out here right now. It's very cold, freezing temperatures, and there's still a large crowd out here. How many people do you say it out here? 100?
I'm guessing 500, but I don't know. I don't know.
For how cold it is, it's a decent-sized crowd. I'm freezing to death, and I'm like, let's go.
The thing is, it took me as long to get dressed for this as it is for me to be here.
Yeah, girl, I got you. I got like 9 layers on.
No, I can hardly walk,
Right on. Thank you for talking with us. Appreciate that. So, this is someone talking to me about how, 6 months ago, maybe the Epstein files didn't seem as big of a deal as they do today. There seems to be a lot in there that ties Trump to a lot worse than what we thought 6 months ago. I'm also mentioning that our institutions have failed in the first part of this year. You had Elon Musk that went in there and gutted everything, and that was part of the plan, right? I think it's also worth mentioning that the Border Patrol, that has become so key in the last 6 months of everything that's going on, does have a lower bar as far as making Fourth Amendment probable cause, right? They just have to have reasonable suspicion. I think that in retrospect, that is part of the calculus that the Trump administration engaged in when they decided to bring these guys front and center. So, what is your full name?
My name is Allison Gunderson.
And you just got back recently from a trip to Venezuela before anybody thought this was going to happen. I mean, Trump has been moving military into that area for a while, but I did not see this coming. I woke up this morning, I'm like,
yeah, it's sort of been like a little bit of a bait and switch almost. And then now overnight, here we are. We've kidnapped President Maduro, a democratically elected leader in Venezuela, and are bombing Caracas, the capital city.
So I thought it was very telling this morning when he was talking to the media that he kept saying our oil. Like, he was referring to Venezuelan oil as our oil, which is kind of a wild thing. I mean, this is a sovereign nation. It's their oil. What is this guy talking about? And then I think he also went on to make the case that all of these American oil companies are going to go in there and rebuild the infrastructure, but the money was going to go to the Venezuelan people, which seems outrageous.
Yeah, there's no way that that's not just going to go into oligarchs' pockets like Trump, his cronies, and U.S. American oil companies. Yeah. The only way that we can do what's best for the Venezuela, for them as a country, for their people, is to let them determine what they want with their government and what they want to do with their oil.
Right. I mean, and this is a guy that ran on America First. I don't see how this is America First. That's one thing. And then the second thing is, where is Tulsi Gabbard in all of this? This is somebody that ran as a Democrat under the entire auspice of ending regime change war. And she's now part of an administration that is engaging in... Where is she in this? Do you have thoughts on that?
I don't have thoughts on Tulsi Gabbard specifically, but this has been like a long-standing U.S. playbook, Republican or Democrat. The U.S. has a long history of doing coup attempts, even specifically just with Venezuela. I keep thinking of an example, like, so many people are upset about having Trump as our president, but does that mean that another country should come and attempt a coup? No. And take care of the situation? That should be us. And that's the same story in Venezuela.
It's the same story over and over again. And two things can be true at the same time, right? But it's up to the Venezuelan people to decide if they want Maduro or not. It's not for us to intervene in that. Because the only obvious reason we're doing it for is not just the oil, but let's talk about the other resources that go into, like, cell phone manufacturing. Like, I know that that's a big resource in Venezuela as well.
Yeah, they're a country rich in many, many resources. And I also think they pose a threat to U.S. because they're doing things a different way than we are. And it's a direct threat to U.S. And they just want more control over Latin America in general. So
is the Panama Canal next? Is Cuba next? Because they made the point this morning of also bringing other countries into the conversation.
Yeah, Trump did mention Cuba in his speech today. And of course, they have such strong solidarity with everyone's struggles. And Cuba and Venezuela are very much in solidarity. And an attack on Venezuela is an attack on Cuba. Things will only keep escalating in that region. And even here in the U.S., that sentiment of an attack on one is an attack on all.
Yeah, no, and you know what? Here's the other thing. The third part of that is that he has also chosen to support complete right-wing dictators in the region at the same time. Like he bailed out the guy in Chile. Was it Chile I'm thinking about? All those billions of dollars. Because why? Because he has, shared ideology of right-wing ideas, and he finds the left obviously very threatening. So my concern at this point is that he's going to carry on doing more of this sort of regime change support. And it's wild to me because so many people, this is icy. We have to be careful. So many people were saying last year that Trump was like an anti-war guy.
Yeah. Even within his speech today, he was talking about touting like peace. But I don't know how you can be anti-war and bomb indiscriminately a country that's done nothing. I mean, yeah.
Legit. Thank you for talking with us. I appreciate it, but I wanted to get some of your more thoughts on that since you were just here.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so we are now in a residential area, and it's very icy. So we're going to march up here ahead. Be careful, John. I have visions of John and I sliding down the street.
Antifa bricks.
Okay, that was funny. We just walked by some pallets of bricks that somebody's, I guess, building a wall with, and John made the joke that they were Antifa bricks.
All right, hang on. We don't want your fucking war.
We're going to get up ahead of this protest so you can see the length of it.
We don't want your fucking
It's a decent crowd for how cold it is out here.
We won't stay quiet anymore. We don't want your fucking war. We don't want your fucking war. We won't stay quiet anymore. We won't stay quiet anymore. When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Palestine is under attack, what do we do?
If you are looking for
When Palestine is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. We don't want your fucking war. We don't want your fucking war. We won't stay quiet anymore. We won't stay quiet anymore. We don't want your fucking war. We don't want your fucking war. We won't stay quiet anymore. We won't stay quiet anymore. We don't want your fucking war. We don't want your fucking war. We won't stay quiet anymore. We won't stay quiet anymore.
If you're not a member of Status Coup, please consider becoming a member. Your membership is what helps fund our trips to all of these places to cover stories that corporate America just isn't covering. About Face is here. About Face is sort of this anti-regime leftist veterans organization. I know they have a chapter in Los Angeles as well. I've seen them in protests there.
Yours to own. U.S. pirates go home. U.S. pirates go home.
really group of folks here from all ages, varying backgrounds, all with the same anger towards what's happening right now.
The sign with the guy with the sign that says no war for oil. Right there, big sign.
A lot of this is reminding me of everything that happened when George W. Bush was president and he invaded Iraq. A lot of the similar themes are running through this. A lot of the same justifications as well, right? We're liberating Iraq. We're bringing them freedom. And that ended up being a large quagmire, as we all know, with millions of deaths. And Trump did say this morning that he has no problem with putting more boots on the ground, that he's not afraid of that. So
turn those Navy ships around. Turn those Navy ships around. Hands up Venezuela now. Hands up Venezuela now. Turn those Navy ships around. Turn those Navy ships around. Hands up Venezuela now. Hands up Venezuela now. Turn those Navy ships around. Turn those Navy ships around. Hands up Venezuela now. Hands up Venezuela now. Turn those Navy ships around. Turn those Navy ships around. When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? When Venezuela is under attack, what do we do? Woo! Give it up for yourselves. Hands up Venezuela. Free President Maduro. U.S. out of Venezuela. And U.S. imperialism. Am I right?
Doug, are you can't with them or no? Yeah.
From Venezuela to Iran. No more sanctions, no more bombs. No more sanctions, no more bombs. From Venezuela to Iran. No more sanctions, no more bombs. No more sanctions, no more bombs. From Venezuela to Iran. No more sanctions, no more bombs. From Venezuela to Palestine. Trump's attacks are war crimes. From Venezuela to Palestine. Trump's attacks are war crimes. From Venezuela to Palestine. Trump's attacks are war crimes. From Venezuela to Palestine. Trump's attacks are war crimes. Trump wants war. Trump wants oil. Hands off Venezuelan soil. Trump wants war. Trump wants oil. Hands off Venezuelan soil. Trump wants war. Trump wants oil. Hands off Venezuelan soil. Trump wants war. Trump wants oil. Hands off Venezuelan soil. We want justice, you say how? Free Maduro, free him now. We want justice, you say how? Free Maduro, free him now. Free Maduro, free him now. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Free Maduro, free him now. Free Maduro, free him now. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Free Maduro, free him now. We will say it every time. U.S. sanctions are a crime. We will say it every time. U.S. sanctions are a crime. We will say it every time. U.S. sanctions are a crime.
So we are winding our way through residential areas of downtown Minneapolis right now. It's a group about, I'd say, 300 to 400 people rallying together against the invasion of Venezuela.
We demand justice. We demand peace. From Venezuela to the Middle East. We demand justice. We demand peace.
Try and get somebody else?
Chanting.
Huh?
He told us if he had gotten a hold of her.
No more sanctions, no more wars.
No more sanctions, no more wars.
We won't stay quiet anymore. No more sanctions, no more wars.
No more sanctions, no more wars.
We won't stay quiet anymore. No more sanctions, no more wars.
No more sanctions, no more wars.
We won't stay quiet anymore.
We won't stay quiet anymore.
From Venezuela to Iran.
Venezuela to Iran.
No more sanctions, no more bombs.
No more sanctions, no more bombs.
From Venezuela to Iran.
Venezuela to Iran.
No more sanctions, no more bombs.
So, what is your full name? I know you're here with the Venezuela anti-war protests, but you also cover rapid response ICE raid stuff here in Minneapolis.
Yes, my name is Simon. I'm an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And we've been involved in organizing our community in a variety of ways. Obviously, you see today we have a great turnout on a short notice. We only sent the word out at about 9 a.m. this morning. And you see we have multiple hundreds of people already in the streets for Venezuela. And we've also been organizing our communities in raid response work, as well as doing meeting the community's needs in terms of getting supplies and helping cover families' rents. It's been really powerful to see how the Twin Cities has shown up, both for attacks on our community domestically and attacks on the people of Venezuela abroad.
U.S. hands up foreign soil.
Wait, did you not catch any of the Okay. So, I want to ask you, ICE has been really going down hard, obviously, on the Somali community here in Minneapolis. And some of the attacks that have been coming out are clearly driven in deep racism. Like, worse than I've seen anywhere in the country thus far. What are your thoughts on that?
The discourse that we've seen from the Trump administration has been really just vitriolic. It's attacking our Somali neighbors, our Somali community members. And we've seen the result is then you have people, right-wing agitators like Nick Shirley, he's no journalist, coming to Minneapolis and really trying to further advance that narrative. These, misleading narratives, racist narratives that really feed into a policy of, allowing the Trump administration to start moving towards denaturalization of people who have residency here, and attacks on not only our undocumented community but also people who have status here or people who are citizens.
No, and that is part of it. That seems to me to be the next phase, right? What's interesting to me about this particular situation is we are seeing a group of citizens that are clearly right-wing agitators, right? They're clout chasers. They're young. They've probably been heavily influenced by the Groyper community and other things like that. These are kids that are basically looking to create content, get clout. They don't care about the truth. But clearly also very much grounded in this America First racism, right? So I think the ultimate goal...
Bring him now!
and seeing this coordination, right? So when Nick Shirley first put the video out, you had Elon Musk sharing it, then you had J.D. Vance sharing it. I have no doubt they've been communicating behind the scenes. So this is like a coordinated effort to do this, and I think you're right. That's leading to this idea of having a white nationalist country, right? Well, now that we've done the deportation of all these quote-unquote illegal people, why can't we denaturalize the ones we don't want here, right?
Yeah, and there was actually a Minnesota state representative who took credit saying that they coordinated with Nick Shirley about the video. Yeah, it was a couple days ago. So certainly it's not like the Republicans are, still playing some sort of civility politics or anything. But they're fully become the MAGA party, and they're fully embracing these really racist narratives. And we also see, we're obviously here at a protest against the war on Venezuela, Trump's bombing and abduction of a sitting president of a sovereign nation. And we saw a month earlier this year, the Trump administration was demonizing Venezuelan immigrants and using all these narratives of, raiding apartment buildings full of families, really violent raids, and then saying, oh, well, that's, there were gangs there, so as to justify it. And these things are connected. And so now there's this narrative of Venezuelans in the United States, or what life is like in Venezuela, that opens the door for something like we saw last night with the bombing of Caracas, as I mentioned before.
Well, I mean, that's part of like going after this daycare stuff, right? Saying they're criminals, even though the person that masterminded it was a white woman. That doesn't get discussed by these guys.
Keep us safe and keep
Anyway, I know you got to pay attention here. Thank you for talking with us. So, making the interesting point here about the crossover between these right-wing influencers and the White House and other in the Heritage Project 2025 arena. These guys have all been coordinating. This is a joint effort. This isn't truthful journalism at all. It's guys that are trying to create a certain narrative and propaganda for an agenda that they are deeply committed to. So the next level of that agenda would be to denaturalize those that they don't want in the country. So we're seeing that now. In Los Angeles, we've seen folks that have been arrested that are American citizens, that are green card holders. The same thing is going on here, Chicago, and other places. So it would not surprise me if that's what happens next. In fact, Trump has threatened that at one point or another, saying that these are the individuals that we don't want in the country. We should take away their citizenship. So I don't see what's going to stop him from doing that now. Ooh. And I'm really, really cold. I'm going to put my mask up for a minute.
So people join.
Trump's attacks are war crimes. Trump's attacks are war crimes. From Venezuela to Palestine. Venezuela to Palestine. Trump's attacks are war crimes. Trump's attacks are war crimes. From Venezuela to Palestine. Venezuela to Palestine. Trump's attacks are war crimes. Trump's attacks are war crimes. From Venezuela to Palestine. Venezuela to Palestine. Trump's attacks are war crimes. Trump's attacks are war crimes. From Venezuela to Palestine. Venezuela to Palestine. Trump's attacks are war crimes. Trump's attacks are war crimes. Hey, hey, ho, ho. U.S. schools have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. U.S. schools have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. U.S. schools have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. U.S. schools have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. U.S. schools have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. U.S. schools have got to go.
I'm gonna come run up.
Ho, ho.
Okay.
U.S. schools have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. U.S. schools have got to go. We stand with immigrants. We stand with immigrants. Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance. Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance. We stand with immigrants. We stand with immigrants. Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance.
Yeah, fuck off! Fuck off!
The chanting of fuck ICE has two meanings right now. Yeah. Whoa.
war and occupation. Not for war and occupation. Money for jobs and education. Money for jobs and education. Not for war and occupation. Not for war and occupation. Money for jobs and education. Money for jobs and education. Not for war and occupation. 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 From Venezuela to the Middle East. From Venezuela to the Middle East. We demand justice. We demand peace. We demand justice. We demand peace. From Venezuela to the Middle East. From Venezuela to the Middle East. We demand justice. We demand peace. We demand justice. We demand peace. From Venezuela to Palestine. From Venezuela to Palestine. Trump's attacks are war crimes. Trump's attacks are war crimes. From Venezuela to Palestine. Venezuela to Palestine.
Make sure I'm not stepping in
Trump's attacks are war crimes.
All right, there's
Get me from behind.
Trump's attacks are war crimes.
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 We want justice, you say how?
If you're joining us, we are live streaming from downtown Minneapolis right now at an anti-war protest that was organized this morning in response to the Trump regime's actions last night.
Free Maduro, free him now.
We want justice, you say how?
We want justice, you say how.
Free Maduro, free him now.
Is there a way you guys?
Yeah.
We want justice, you say how?
Yeah, where would you like us to be?
Free Maduro, free him
come over
now. I'm gonna say no troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. You're gonna say U.S. out of everywhere. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air.
U.S. out of everywhere.
No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air.
U.S. out of everywhere.
No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air.
U.S. out of everywhere.
No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air.
U.S. out of everywhere.
No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air.
U.S. out of everywhere.
No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air.
U.S. out of everywhere.
No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air.
U.S. out of everywhere.
No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air.
U.S. out of everywhere.
We stand with immigrants.
We stand with immigrants.
Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance.
Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance.
We stand with immigrants.
We stand with immigrants.
Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance.
Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance.
We stand with immigrants.
We stand with immigrants.
Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance.
Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance.
Okay, folks,
dangerous out here.
It's so slippery, I know.
Again, please stay on the right side. We need to be able to let cars pass up on the left, or else life is going to get really difficult for the folks who are stopping traffic for us. Thank you.
Let's hear it for following the direction. Woo! Trump wants war. Trump wants oil. Hands off Venezuelan soil.
John, it's really slippery here. It's really slippery.
Soil.
So we are marching through downtown Minneapolis. It is very icy out here and cold today, but people came out to support this protest. We have several hundred people marching. Last minute, organized this morning.
Trump wants war. Trump wants oil.
Making the ties between not only what happened in Venezuela last night, but also the ongoing immigration raids against the Somali community.
Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck J.D. Vance. Fuck J.D. Vance. Fuck Marco Rubio. Fuck Marco Rubio. Fuck Pete Hexen. Fuck Pete Hexen. Fuck Donald off Venezuela now. Turn those Navy ships around. Turn those Navy
You want to get the mother with the kids? She's in the back.
Hands off Venezuela now. Turn those Navy ships around. Turn those Navy ships around. Hands off Venezuela now.
I'm looking at your...
Julian Assange. Yeah. Did you hear the statement he made about Maria Corina Machado?
I did not. Tell us.
He thinks that her Nobel Peace Prize should be revoked. He said it's a violation of Alfred Nobel's will that the prize go to a person who best exemplifies peace and demilitarization. Of course, she's been calling for a U.S. invasion. She's undeserving of a Nobel Peace Prize.
I'm going to take that one step further. Why was she even given the prize to begin with? I mean, when she was awarded the prize, I was really shocked. But then I thought to myself, wait a second, Henry Kissinger has a Nobel Peace Prize.
He does, and so does Barack Obama after escalating in Afghanistan. So it's really a warped prize now.
Yeah, it doesn't mean much if you're giving it to people that are bombing others in the name of peace.
Yeah, but anyway, it's great to see Julian Assange back on the job. He seems to be fully recovered from his torturous experience, and he's back in the thick of it.
Yes, thank you for that. I agree.
You're welcome.
If you're just joining us, we are at a anti-war protest in downtown Minneapolis. Uh-oh. I'm going to try going as fast as I can here, but it's very slippery in this ice. Also, if you are not a member of Status Coup, please consider joining and becoming a member. Your $5 a month helps us fund our journalism. It's what pays for our hotels, our airs, our food, our live view, and everything that we use to make this reporting possible. Do you want to try to get closer to the front, or you want to?
Yeah, money for child care. Money for transportation.
Might be better to walk on it. Is that less icy? Okay.
Money for our teachers. Money for our nurses. Money for our postal service. Not for war. Money for schools. Not for war. Repeat after me. Money for jobs and education. Money for jobs and education. Not for war and deportation. Not for war and deportation. Money for jobs and education. Money for jobs and education. Not for war and deportation. Not for war and deportation. Money for jobs and education. Money for jobs and education. Not for war and deportation. Not for war and deportation. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air.
You see anybody want to talk to
on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere. U.S. out of everywhere. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere. U.S. out of everywhere. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. No troops on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere. U.S. out of everywhere. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off Venezuela now. Hands off Venezuela now. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off Venezuela now. Hands off Venezuela now. We want justice, you say how? We want justice, you say how? Hands off Venezuela now. Hands off Venezuela now. Viva Venezuela! No, you say que viva. We're learning this one. Viva Venezuela! Que viva!
Viva Venezuela! Viva Venezuela! Eso!
Same thing, say que viva! Viva Maduro! Viva Maduro! Viva Maduro! We stand with immigrants! Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance! We stand with immigrants! Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance! We stand with immigrants! Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance! 1, 2, 3, 4. Intervention no more! 1, 2, 3, 4. Intervention no more! 1, 2, 3, 4. Intervention no more! No coup! No sanctions! No more U.S. escalation!
We have some police vehicles off to the right on Lake Street. They don't seem to be doing anything more than just idling there in their cars, observing from a distance.
I think that's like Metro Police. That's not,
Oh, is it Metro?
not actual police.
No more U.S. escalation! No more U.S. escalation! No coup! No sanctions! No coup! No sanctions! No more U.S. escalation! No more U.S. escalation! Money for jobs and education!
So we are marching towards this freeway overpass that is ahead here on Minnehaha, where these absolutely beautiful murals that were painted and decorated with like mosaic tile during the BLM period. So we're going to pass by those. I'm going to make sure that John gets some video of them.
Hands on Venezuelan soil! Trump wants war! Trump wants oil! No more trading blood for oil! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! I don't know. I was thinking earlier, I don't know how you guys can walk backwards because of all the ice on the freaking streets. I was afraid I would slip. So
She is not kidding. I've slipped so many times.
over my words and no one has to look at my face. Anyways, hey, hey! Ho, ho! U.S. coups have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! U.S. coups have got to go! We stand with immigrants! Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance! We stand with immigrants! Not Donald Trump or J.D. Vance! The people united will never be defeated! 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 El pueblo unido! Amacero vencido! El pueblo unido! Amacero vencido! El pueblo unido! Amacero
Oh, maybe are we going into the parking lot? Okay, so we're not going up to where the murals are. That's a bummer.
The people
Okay.
united will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated!
All right, so we've now made a turn into the Target parking lot here. I thought maybe we were going to march under the freeway underpass and see those murals, but I guess not. This might be the end of the march then, actually.
See if you can talk to that guy with the car.
Oh,
we were looking to talk to you.
I was looking to talk to you. You're the person I wanted to talk to.
Oh, okay.
You're with 5150.
5051.
Sorry. But also you've been involved with the rapid response here. I wanted to...
Yeah.
We originally came out here to cover the Somali story and how all of these right-wing sort of young Groyper influence lunatics have been making up this whole, narrative that has all kinds of holes in it and whatnot. And obviously most of it's being driven by racism. But what are some of the things that you've been seeing since you've been actively involved with all that?
So I think that the biggest thing that you'll notice is that the community is really pulling together. There's no leader in this response. Right. It's all just neighbors looking out for each other. And so we've quickly organized. We've learned lessons from Chicago and Portland, and we have made sure that we are just in our neighborhoods, boots on the ground, so to speak, showing up for our neighbors.
Right. So, the way they had situated it in Los Angeles is very similar to what I've been seeing out here, where you have somebody minding who's leaving the main facilities where they're staging out, whether it's the detention center or someplace else. These are the plates that are going out, and then everybody else is looking around to make sure that they can protect folks if they show up. So in particular, though, why do you think, I have thoughts on this, but I'm curious about yours. Why do you think they are targeting Minneapolis Somali community? I think there's probably some influences because Ilhan Omar is here and obviously the race things, but they've really made it a stepping stone in upping what they're doing, because I think that they're looking at now just not deporting people that are criminals here illegally, whatever rhetoric they're using, whatever nonsense they're saying, but also to let's talk about, removing citizenship from people that we've given it to.
Yeah, so I think that what you'll see is there's a personal vendetta, and this is just my personal opinion, what I feel and what I've witnessed. We had a lot of political violence that has targeted Minnesota. We'll never forget the devastation that raked through the community when Melissa Hortman was assassinated. Our representatives continuously receive death threats because they resist Donald Trump. Ilhan Omar, when she hosts town halls, for example, has said how much herself and her family have been the targets of escalating political violence that way. She's constantly under threat. And we also have one of the largest Somali populations in the United States. And the fact of the matter is that when you look at the demographics, without racism, without the tint, over 90% of Somalis in Minnesota are U.S. citizens. They are naturalized. They have done the work. They probably know more about U.S. history than I do at this point, because they've had to prove themselves, right?
I mean, how many U.S. citizens can actually pass the test that you're required to pass to become a U.S.? I probably couldn't.
I mean, it'd probably be a comedy show if you asked, right? So I think that it is a vendetta personally against the Somali community because of racism. And I think that it is a vendetta against the state of Minnesota because of Tim Walz's involvement with the last presidential campaign.
And Tim Walz has been sort of a progressive leader, not only with that stuff, but also with union, worker rights, and a host of other things. I think when he was chosen to be the VP, that kind of sent a message too, right? There was there was the corporate option, and then there was the Tim Walz option, right? And that was the better option, in my opinion, my personal opinion. But I think it also did send a message out there. I think a lot of Democrats are sort of not happy with the lack of response from a lot of their leaders right now. And I know, like in Minnesota, Chicago, these are areas where you've had a very strong reactionary response to what's going on with Donald Trump, even more so than in California, in my opinion. So how much of that do you think figures into the narrative?
I think it plays a large role because I'm not going to name names because that's important not to. But there are state representatives that are involved in rapid response. There are state representatives that are out here every day showing up at the raids, in the chats, at any event like this, front and center defending their communities, speaking up for immigrant populations, speaking up for their constituents. And as an organization, Minnesota 5051 has been in touch with Tim Walz and the officials at the state capitol to say, we appreciate your vocal support of Minnesotans. We want to see more. And there's been some backlash on that because people think that we're, eating our own. And that's not the case. Number one, Minnesota 5051 is nonpartisan. Number two, we feel that as Americans, it is our job to challenge our leaders to show up in the way that their constituents need them to show up and to meet the moment. And in this case, you see it all around you. It's going to take more than a pithy response on the internet.
Yeah, no, pithy response is going to do nothing at this point. So would you say that we're entering a phase of fascism? Like, I interviewed a guy earlier that doesn't think we're there yet. I think the signs are there myself. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that when it comes to fascism, people are afraid to use that word because they don't understand what it means.
Okay.
And so what I will say is that we are in a stage of hyperinflation where the average family can no longer support groceries the way that they used to, where the next generation, the last 2 generations, may not ever be able to own a home. And meanwhile, we've got our own government sponsoring domestic terrorism by snatching people off the street, regardless of whether they have citizenship or not. Right. We're in an era where state-sponsored control is going up to people on the street, like you and me, and asking papers.
Right.
That doesn't sound like democracy to me. That doesn't sound like innocent until proven guilty to me. And when you look at the people who have been disappeared because they're not keeping records of who's been taken, families are not able to get a hold of their loved ones, what you'll notice is that there are striking and appalling similarities to history that are akin to the rise of fascism and the lead up to World War II.
Yeah.
We need to learn from history or we're doomed to repeat it.
Indeed. I think you're making a really solid point when it comes to the income inequality, right? Income inequality has always been something that's undergirded any sort of authoritarianism that's come into play anywhere in the world, not just in the United States or Europe. So, and we are seeing insane income inequality now. It's worse than it was during the 20s. This is, you know, as Jordan would call it, the new Gilded Age that we're in right now. And clearly the Trump administration, you had some numbers that you had in your speech that were crazy, the amount of money that he has extracted.
Yeah, $3.4 billion between the crypto scams, the merch releases, skimping on, you know, getting Walmart prints for the Oval Office. He's a grifter and a fraud and a liar, and he's benefiting off of our collective indifference. There's not enough people that are willing to stand up and do something about it.
Right. The crypto scams. I want to talk about that just real quickly for 1 second because I think that is something that is not discussed enough. He has basically used crypto to get money from other countries, other folks in other countries that have given him money for things, right? And to the tune of billions of dollars. They've been running it through this whole crypto organization that he had established. I mean, this is crazy, right?
I definitely think it's not becoming behavior for a president, for the leader of the free world. This is not. He's still running his business schemes and scams, and we're eating it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, I agree with you. One last question. The one set of checks and balances that seems to be only semi-holding at this point is some of our court system, right? I think a lot of our other institutions have failed. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. How long does that continue?
It's hard to say. I can't say. But the problem is that if our leaders don't stand up to fascism, as what you're seeing today, the people are going to stand up against it. And the movement right now, especially through Minnesota 5051, we remain nonviolent. We remain committed to the Constitution and the laws of the land. At the same time, we're not going to let this pass by without challenge.
Well, but that's exactly right. So ICE, for example, is not necessarily abiding by constitutional law. We have other government agencies that are kind of thumbing their nose at the Constitution. The Constitution is the law of the land. You know, not law enforcement in and of itself is not the law of the land. The Constitution is. And when you have law enforcement that is behaving in a lawless way, it's not law and order. So what's wild to me, though, is the folks that have been screaming about tyranny now for 2 decades are sort of falling asleep right now. Like, this is actual... This is actually what tyranny looks like, folks, the start of it at least. And they don't seem to be able to acknowledge that. It's kind of the strange disconnect. So is it because they're just in some cult? Like, what's happening here?
I think that there's definitely some of that, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, most of the people who voted for Trump didn't vote for new wars. They didn't vote for all of these machinations and division. What they voted for is the same thing that all of us want. We want to be able to afford to feed our families. We want to be able to have careers that give us the ability to retire instead of being worked to death. And I think, unfortunately, you know, if you look at the probability, is this malice or is this ignorance? And I think it's ignorance in this case. They are given a story that seems plausible and believable, and they run with it. And I say they because I would never vote for Trump. But I don't think that it's malice. I think that if we can find a way to come together and find the common ground and just understand that I want what's best for my family. And most of that just means being able to live in peace, being able to choose who I love, decide what happens to my body, work in a job that lets me take care of my family. You know, I think I want the same things that they want. And if the government would just stay out of other people's beds and other people's families and other people's pocketbooks, it would be fine.
That's just it. Liberty for one is liberty for all. But these folks...
Live and let live. Live and let live is what I would love to see. But unfortunately, this is about power, it's about control, and it's about money. Every decision that they make, it all comes back to that.
Indeed. So the one thing I will say is that the reason that they don't get that liberty for one, liberty for all mantra is because they've sort of been led into this like cultural, religious area where they believe that having religious freedom, right, is liberty. Like they're equating being able to exclude people that don't have the same beliefs as them as actually being liberty when it's really kind of the opposite. Does that make sense?
I think I hear what you're saying, and I think that when it comes to the resistance to liberty for all, is that my liberty doesn't look the same as their liberty.
Right.
You know, it doesn't fall into the Christian traditional ideals, and therefore it's still falling into that same pattern that's so hard to break out of, that different equals bad. Right? And that's what we've got to really fight against. You know, different does not equal bad. Whether you're talking about Somali immigrants, whether you're talking about Hispanic immigrants, somebody who doesn't speak the same language as you, different does not equal bad. And if we could just get that message across, I think that we would be able to start sewing up some of this rift in the United States.
Thank you so much for your time. It was as good as an interview as I knew it was going to be. I'm so glad we saw you. I was looking for you earlier in the march. Yeah. I appreciate it. What is your full name again? For those folks?
You can call me Cobalt. I'm with 5051. And if you're not yet in your neighborhood rapid response, make sure to get out there. You can look for training online, mn50501.org. Thank you.
Right on. Thanks for talking with us.
All right, thank you.
So before we sign off, a couple of points that I think are really valid right now as we're standing in this ice-strewn parking lot. Really insane income inequality, I think she's right, is what's driving a lot of this divide right now, a lot of the anger. I think we do have to lay some blame at the feet of the Democratic Party. They had an opportunity to have what I would call a left exit to the income inequality. They chose to not take the left exit, which sort of left the right exit. And, when Trump first ran for office, I'm going back to 2015 now, you have to really examine where we were at that time. People didn't quite grasp how dangerous Trump was. They knew that if they had Hillary Clinton, though a lot of folks knew that that would be like a pro-banking community, a pro-corporation, and they knew they didn't want that, and they knew they wanted change. At that time, I kept saying Trump is way more dangerous than people are giving him credit for, but, that was an unknown. Now, this time around, we knew he was dangerous, and some people chose to support him anyway. I thought that, my personal opinion, that was a bad idea, but here we are. I will say this, we are now seeing people waking up from that sort of fever dream, if you want to call it that, and they're realizing that Trump isn't the guy that he said he was going to be. He's been engaging in massive corruption. He's been extracting wealth from the country. I mean, from other nations. The jet from Qatar is only one example, right? He's been running all kinds of foreign money and foreign influence through his crypto scam. That's part of the conversation. I don't know how much worse it can get before it gets better, but we are definitely headed toward a breaking point here. So anyway, we are here in downtown Minneapolis. We just got finished covering the anti-war protests. John and I are going to be down here on the ground in the next few days trying to get some more coverage of what's going on with immigration raids. I'm going to investigate a little bit more into what's going on within the Somali community as far as this kind of crazy right-wing influencer stuff that's going on with these kids that are out here trying to trick people going into the daycare centers. Obviously, a lot of what they're reporting is fraudulent and not true. It's provably false. I found one guy on Twitter. Somebody sent me some screenshots, and I went and looked, and he had been posting, wait for it, masturbation videos. I'm not kidding you. Earlier, and now he's out here doing this daycare thing. So, a lot of these kids in that kind of groyper sphere, they are very attracted to what I would call clout chasing, right? It's notoriety. They might not even have any real commitment to these ideals, but they are committed to getting clout. So this is a way that they do it. They want to create this content, get a little notoriety from it. the whole reporting, a lot of the reporting I did on the 764 group, it very much similar. Even though these kids use a lot of Nazi ideology, symbolism, it doesn't mean they're full-blown Nazis. They just think it's edgy, Leave that conversation for another day. Anyway, I'm going to sign off now, but if you're not a member, please consider becoming a Status Coup member. Your $5 a month is what allows us to come out here and do this kind of reporting. You'll notice that there aren't any, mainstream media groups here today covering this, but we're out here doing it in the cold, freezing to death. So please consider becoming a member and stay tuned for the next few days, and we're going to be covering more of the story.